What's up, ego hackers? Welcome to the C.S. Joseph Podcast, Premium Edition. I'm your host, C.S. Joseph. This is Season 12, Part 2, Episode 15. Social skills, or how to optimize social skills for INTPs. I know many of you have been waiting for this. Of course, it is what it is. INTPs are cool. INTPs are great. INTPs are the one type out of all the 16 who have the absolute best social skills of us all. I'm just kidding. They actually typically have the worst social skills of all the types, because when you have the deadly sin of gluttony, what exactly is so gluttonous about being social with people? Socializing has a way of getting in the way of gluttony, getting in the way of consumption. You see what I'm saying? This is why INTPs don't really actually develop social skills, because of that limitation. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big thing. Extroverted feeling inferior is quite the burden. That social anxiety, constantly crippling them on a regular basis, similar to ISTPs. And honestly, I feel bad for them sometimes. But in my life right now, I got two INTPs that I'm very close with, and they act so different. On one hand, I have a UDSF, sometimes UDUF, depending on the day, INTP, and I have an SDSF INTP, which doesn't make sense, honestly, that he is SDSF because of just how rough his childhood upbringing was. But the amount of wisdom that he was able to extract from his suffering literally ends up becoming something incredible. I've never seen an INTP with such social mastery in my life. Oftentimes it's to the point where I actually see him as my social superior. He has even better social skills than me, and that's kind of shocking. It's like, okay, well, hold on, Mr. C.S. Joseph, you're just some fucking edgelord who dresses in black, flips butterfly knives, and smokes cigars on the side of the road, like some weird ass dude. Yeah, I'm weird. I don't give a shit. Someone's got to be weird. Someone's got to be okay with being weird. Maybe y'all are the problem, and maybe I'm not the problem at all. Because, I'm just living life. What are you all doing? Trying to pretend? Probably what you're doing. Probably pretending. Probably playing a little game of pretend all the time. That's the thing about INTPs. They kind of see social interaction like this big game of pretend. And because of that, they just don't really want to get involved, because it's like, well, why would I want to pretend to be something that I'm not, basically? Instead of actually understanding how people work. Because last I checked, an INTP is still, ultimately, at the end of the day, human. And because it's human, it ends up becoming a bigger issue over time. Much bigger issue. Yeah, you got a lot of social use. I mean, people look to you for solving problems. People look to you for being able to see bad things coming along. But little do people realize that the absolute best social engineers out of everyone really actually are INTPs. I used to think it was ENTPs, but now, especially as of recent discoveries with the science, I no longer believe that. I started feeling aspirational while being triple systematic as an INTP. I think INTPs are actually superior in terms of social engineering. Very superior. I mean, I guess it would make sense because you have the greatest social engineer in history, known as Kevin Mitnick, basically, who wrote Ghosts in the Wires, The Art of Deception, Art of Intrusion, The Art of Invisibility, these books, etc. And honestly, the man is brilliant. And as soon as an INTP realizes that people can literally be reduced down to systems and then manipulated like systems, they actually can get the job done. They're really good social engineers. So what ends up happening to the INTP is that they end up looking at all social interaction basically as a form of social engineering. This is why they sometimes have this attitude that social interaction is just this huge, big game of pretend, because you're kind of pretending when you are socially interacting with other people. And they hate that. They hate, in general, that they can't really be real. Now, I'm projecting as a fellow INTP right now when I say that. But the thing is that an INTP is very sensitively, due to extroverted feeling inferior, sensitively aware of the fact that they're not really socially acceptable. They just know that. And they feel bad. They feel really bad about it. So because of that, they have to actually learn to have social skills in some capacity. I think Dale Carnegie, if he wasn't an INTJ, he absolutely was an INTP. I honestly think so, actually. He wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People, a book literally every ego hacker should read. If you've not read the aged book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, from the very early 1900s, you are failing at life. Maybe you should go read that book. Everyone should read that book. It should be required reading in school, in my opinion. Required reading. It is absolutely fantastic. It basically gives the basic blueprint for social engineering, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah. But I love INTPs. People oftentimes don't give them a fair shake. And the thing that makes them happy is just people trusting them enough to go to them and literally ask them questions, literally ask them to solve problems, basically, and then trust them with that. That's really what brings INTPs joy. The problem is that INTPs oftentimes don't get in that situation. The reason why is because their trickster, and their demon function consistently get in the way of their life. Extroverted sensing kind of blows up in their face because they're completely unaware of the physical environment around them. They're unaware of how they come off. They're unaware of the fact of just how hyperfactual they are, and it's off-putting to other people. They don't realize that they smell bad. They don't realize that they look ugly. They don't realize that people just are weirded out by them, and they have no clue as to how off-putting they are. They'd rather get away with wearing their Dragon Ball Z t-shirt in public, or their Gundam Wing t-shirt in public, or in one particular case, Outlaw Star in public, their anime t-shirts in public, or wear them in such a way where they're around important people, basically. And they're literally pricing themselves out of the market based on just how, in general, people are uncomfortable around them. And they're actually inhibiting their ability to actually have any social interaction with a person right off the bat, which is pretty sad. It's very sad. So you got to watch out for that. You really got to watch out. But extroverted sensing trickster, they think they're performing when they're not actually performing, or they think that they're performing well when they're actually underperforming. Or they think that they can perform in any situation, but they never actually do. I actually had an INTP recently talk about how worthless Jungian analytical psychology was. This is the UDUF or UDSF, depending on the day, INTP. And he made the claim that Jungian analytical psychology, also known as street psychology, is absolutely fundamentally worthless. It's like you just go into a room and observe people and figure out what the issue is and then solve that issue. Why do you have to care about all this other shit? Thing is, though, is that I've never actually witnessed him do that. I've never actually noticed him do anything like that. It's so funny because he's giving advice that he doesn't even follow. And that, too, is as a result of extroverted sensing trickster. Extroverted sensing trickster, oftentimes, they get to the situation where they end up solving problems no one asked to be solved, basically, which is the bane of the INTP existence, and really can get in the way and inhibit them. And what they don't really understand is that people remember. Maybe the INTP would be a little bit better off projecting their SI child on other people and realizing to some degree that while they remember better than most people, which is true, that in those particular cases, right, that those other people might also remember how poorly they behaved, might remember how poorly they dressed, might remember how ugly they actually look. You know what I'm saying? And that's what ends up happening over and over and over. It ends up becoming a big problem. Really big problem. Anyway, the point is, extroverted sensing trickster is just such a burden on an INTP. They spend their whole lives trying to get mastery. But there are some INTPs out there who are actually really good at performance. Our very own Samwise, he's pretty good at performing as an INTP. And it'd be really good, I think, for them performing as an INTP to perform better. and to perform more and actually be able to interact with other people without making them uncomfortable. So this ends up presenting a huge problem. The other problem I have is the demon function, introverted feeling. No one really likes people who self-deprecate, except for the people who are willing to manipulate you, except for the people who are willing to take advantage of you. If you're an INTP and you self-deprecate in front of somebody because you're introverted feeling demon, then you are actually inviting people to manipulate you, you're inviting people to doormat you, you're inviting people to take advantage of you. You're also inviting an opportunity where you become so bitter that you start covert contracting other people because you self-deprecate. If you want to prevent yourself from manipulating other people through covert contracts, where your generosity has strings attached, basically, which is a form of covert manipulation, and then eventually people will pick up that you're covert contracting and want to have nothing to do with you. But let's say that actually happens. Let's say it is a thing. Well, in that particular moment, you got to be careful, because no one's going to want to have a relationship with you. No one's going to want to be your friend. No one's going to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, because they know everything you do has strings attached every single time. And you're going to end up having that reputation, right? Your nemesis exists to help you manage your reputation. Why don't you pay attention to your nemesis function? Why aren't you worried about what other people think about you? You probably should. You really should. You should worry what other people think about you, because that shit matters. It matters a lot. But you don't even realize how it matters. You never realize. Because you're so busy not accepting yourself. You're so busy putting yourself down. You're so busy self-deprecating, thinking for some weird-ass reason that causes people to regard you better, to respect you better, or even to accept you better. Stop self-deprecating. I get it. You're kind of afraid of being prideful, but guess what? You have TI Hero. You're prideful even if you try not to be prideful. So stop doing it. You're a TP type, and you're an optimistic TP type. ISTPs struggle with pride all the time. You think you don't? You got TI Hero too. You absolutely do struggle with pride. The thing is that human beings are social creatures. You have to be aware of the simple fact that as social creatures, reputation matters. There is, I think it's the third or fourth law of power, and it goes like this. So much depends on reputation, guard it with your life, right? Something that I continue to fail at, especially as of recent. Maintaining that law of power as an NTP is extremely hard. It's extremely difficult. People are so easily offended. Hell, I even violated the law of power, never outshine the master, earlier today, like an idiot. I regret it. Won't be doing that again anytime soon. But you got to keep these things in mind. Social interaction is important. Because here's the thing. You want to have relationships with other people? You want to have friendships with other people? You want to have sexual relationships, INTPs? Well, you got to get more people-based. And the thing is that no one's going to accept you until you accept you. Especially until you give yourself permission for who you are. But then you have to ask yourself, should I give myself permission for who I am? I always use the mother's basement example when talking about INTPs. Do you really believe that that's acceptable? Maybe you know that's unacceptable, but your ISFP demon is just trying to pretend and just trying to hide that, because if I just hide this part about me, no one else will pick up on it, right? False. Your extroverted sensing trickster acts in such a way that people will know that you are a mother's basement INTP. And there's really nothing you can do about it, okay? It happens all the fucking time. All the time, right? So don't do it. Literally don't do it. Like, your FI demon is rotting in your head consistently, telling you that you're not worth it, telling you that you're not worthy. But then again, you don't even care whether or not you're worth it. You don't care whether or not you're worthy. Maybe you should start caring. Because it's like, maybe you should make peace with your demon. Because in making peace with your demon and actually having some semblance of self-acceptance, guess what? Through cognitive orbit, you'll become more socially acceptable to other people. All right? You have to learn how to treat yourself well. Are you really treating yourself well, being addicted to video games and pizza and Coca-Cola? Are you really treating yourself well with that body pillow? Are you really treating yourself well with having a vast anime collection or stuffed animal collection or whatever collection you end up having? The answer is no. People pick up on it. It becomes very obvious to other people that you don't treat yourself well, especially with your extroverted sensing trickster, being completely unaware of the fact that you think that you can hide it from other people, but you can't hide a goddamn thing. You can't hide anything from people. It's so funny because, like, I see ISFPs or super ego all the time thinking to themselves that they can hide from other people, but the reality of the situation is they can't. They can't. Their NE trickster ends up exposing them anyway. That's what trickster functions are for. Exposure. To expose you. To reveal the parts about you that you try to hide. You know, for some reason you all think like, well, I could be really content doing this thing. Oh, okay, so you can be content playing video games. You can be content eating a lot of food and gorging yourself. You can be content being a burden on yourself, a burden on people in your life, a burden on society. You're really cool with that, huh? You're really cool with that, being a burden? INTPs are hella burdensome. Why? Why are you okay with that? Huh? Should never be okay with that. Should never, ever, ever literally be okay with that. No matter what. It's stupid. It's actually stupid. Yet your FE inferior is kind of afraid of people not liking you, but you easily make people not like you because you are a burden on them. When was the last time you were actually fucking productive? When was the last time you actually benefited someone else's life? You know, INTP men all the time come to me and they're like, well, hey, Chase, how do I get the girl? How do I get girls? It's very simple. Don't be a burden on other men. You know, most of the pickup artists, the red pill people would tell you, like, you know, yeah, demonstrate higher value to women and shit. You know, like, don't demonstrate higher value to women. No, they're fucking black holes. It's a waste of time. Demonstrate higher value to men. Demonstrate to those people, right? Because if you actually make yourself useful and able to actually contribute to fellow men, that's like the key to success in life as a man. Make yourself useful to other men. It's not hard. That's all you got to do. Make yourself useful to other men. You'll literally have everything in life served up to you on a platter. Literally everything. You'll literally become Mr. Popular all the time. On a regular basis. You don't even have to worry about it, right? Why won't you do that? Why don't you consider that, right? You should. You really should. What the hell are you even here for? Just taking up space? Well, I don't know what my purpose. Okay, well, you want to know what your purpose is? I'll tell you your purpose right now. Your purpose is to be a help. If you're a man, be a help to men in your life. If you're a woman, be a help to women in your life. It's not hard. That's it. That's it. But here's the thing. But I'm not worthy enough to be a help, or I'm not good enough, or worse, which is typical of FI Demon, I don't care about being a help to other people. Okay. You don't care, huh? You don't care? And then you're like, well, I do care. And I'm like, yeah, but how would anyone else know that? Your FE inferior is very quick to make the claim that you care, but how does anyone else actually know that you care? How do you even know that other people have been impacted by you positively or negatively? Since when are you actually going to pay attention to others more so than paying attention to yourself, SI child? Like an immature little kid constantly paying attention to yourself on a regular basis, when are you going to figure out that that's not how you should be using your time, right? Contribution is everything. Contribution to others is everything. Without contribution, what are you? You're nothing. You're literally just a piece of shit at that point. Who are you contributing to? And if you're not contributing, guess what? You're just a burden. You're a burden. You're supposed to be this colossus. You're supposed to be this intellectual aficionado. You're supposed to be this inventor. You're supposed to be this creator. You're supposed to be this builder. You're supposed to be moving forward with your purpose. That is to demonstrate higher value to your own gender within your life. Your own biological gender, that is, within your life. That is what you're supposed to be doing. And if you can't do that, you'll never have any social anything with anyone. You're basically a waste of space at that point. How are you contributing? How are you What are you doing? How are you able to do it, right? You're supposed to be this great person. You're supposed to be this hyper-intelligent person. You're supposed to be this really cool inventor. You're supposed to be like this Einstein or this Oppenheimer, you know? You're supposed to be this Bobby Fischer, greatest chess player, most popular chess player in history. Bobby Fischer, right? He's an INTP. You're supposed to be that person. But what do? You just waste your time watching harem anime? You just willfully choose to be a loser? Because here's the thing. Not to choose is to choose. Your anti-critics are so annoying because anti-critic is like, oh, I don't want to be, I don't know if this is the right choice to make. So because you don't know what the right choice is to make, you end up making the wrong choice by default. Don't you see how hypocritical you are? You're very hypocritical. Because you're going against your critic. Critic function is where it's easy to find a person's hypocrisy. Because they're critical in a certain way, but when they don't actually follow their critic's internal advice about their own life, they're hypocritical, hypocritical, right? And that really sucks. Why would you do that? And how could you do that? Seriously. What are you trying to do at that point? It ends up becoming a big problem. Over and over and over, all these problems keep mounting up, and you don't end up amounting to anything. You're just stuck in this endless cycle. You'd rather spend time, working on systems, working without people. When if you're the master of social engineering, you can be the greatest people person with your ESFJ subconscious, but you don't even do that. See, that's a problem. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. Who are you? Why are you? Who are you? Wake up. Wake up. Tired of INTPs always falling behind on the social scale, social circle. You have to admit, we are social creatures. You're not going to get anywhere without relationships with other fellow human beings. So, take some time, do some effort, stop being lazy, put in some effort with your SE trickster, find out how and why you're making other people uncomfortable. And then don't do that, do the opposite. Okay? If you don't know what to do, at least identify what you don't do. But why are you so scared collecting feedback from other people? You need to collect feedback from other people through your FE inferior to figure out exactly how you're making other people uncomfortable. You need to collect feedback from other people to figure out how you're not being accepting of self. Because in order for you to be accepting of self, you can't just say it, you have to actually do it. You have to actually do it. You actually have to put in some effort. Why don't you put in some effort? Effort is everything, right? Put in some effort. Well, I don't know if I'm putting my effort in the right place, says anti-critic. I'm like, well, I guarantee you this, you're putting your effort somewhere, you're putting effort in the wrong place. So your anti-critic is still being you're still making the wrong decisions. Even though you look at everyone else and be like, well, everyone else is irresponsible with their decision making when you're the one who's the biggest hypocrite of them all and doing that. That's not desirable. And that's the key. You want social success in your life, INTPs? Here's how you do it. Develop your parent function. Find out what people actually truly want from you. Find out what you actually can offer other people. It's that simple. What can you offer? What can you give to others? What do people want from you? You'd have to be willing to ask for feedback. What do people like? You'd have to be willing to find out from other people what they like. You have to be willing to find out and basically take some harsh feedback from other people and open yourself up to other people's judgments about you. If you're not willing to be judged, well, then you're just a piece of shit. You gotta be willing to be judged. You gotta be willing to take their judgment, their negative judgment, because their negative judgment is the only way that you're going to change. It's the only way that you're going to grow. It's the only way you're going to be able to identify what it is people actually want from you. Not what people want in general, what people want from you. Okay? Figure out what they want. Figure out what they want from you. See, that's the thing about any parent. It's a parent function. It's very precise. And you can precisely find what others want, and then you can give it for them. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you start satisfying the desires, the true desires of other people, as soon as you're strong enough and experienced enough to be able and have built yourself up enough, your ability to give other people what they want goes up, and it keeps increasing, right? And then you're able to give more. And become this engine of giving, this engine of meeting the desires of other people and doing it in a systematic way. Which is good, because as a triple systematic person, you can find the absolute best thing that people want. And because you're so intelligent, you actually deliver it to them on a silver platter. And as soon as that happens, you become useful, regardless of your expert sensing inferior or trickster performance, which is just a trickster. That's how you do it. Think of all the social relationships that you'll end up having. Think about how social you'll be. People actually want you around because they know you give them what they want. They'll actually want you around. They'll actually choose you. They'll actually invite you. They'll actually include you. Because you're able to give people what they want. Do you think people want a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt? No. They want a suit. Right? Give the people what they want. Give the people, get so specialized in giving people what they want that you get so good at it that you end up practicing a miracle where you're able to give people what they didn't even know they wanted. Have all the 16 types? You're the one that actually can pull that off. Why? Because you're triple systematic. Because you can find the best thing for somebody else, the best thing that somebody else would want, even though they don't even know they wanted it, and then you give it to them, and you have fundamentally transformed their life. You fundamentally altered their future for the rest of their life because you were that specific. You were that researched. You put in that much effort. You put in that much thinking. You proved how thoughtful you were, right? And that's the key. That's the key. And that'll always be the key. And that's the key. That's what you need to do as an INTP. That is the key to being social and optimizing your social skills. Do you think you're a burden then? No. What you end up becoming is the top contributor. You end up becoming the foundation for other people's lives, for other people's companies, other people's visions, other people's anything, other people's families. You. Isn't that amazing? And that's who you are. And that's your identity. That's your purpose. That's your purpose. So go out there, collect the scary-ass feedback, realize that people actually do accept you as long as you treat yourself with acceptance, and then they accept you. Then you have nothing to fear. And then you're spending all this time and effort thinking about others instead of thinking about yourself and your gluttonous bullshit, that then you're able to bring them what they didn't even know they wanted. And then you're the master. And then when you're the master, master of social engineering, master of social interaction, no one's better at being social than you, the INTP. Because no one can solve problems, the problems people didn't even know they wanted to be solved, better than you. And that's when you get my respect. Cool. Thanks for watching and listening, folks, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.